Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirushu here, and now, before we do begin, Blaze, happy birthday. Number two, you fuckhead. Anyways, with that being said, let's give a brief little overview. Now, this series many people have tried doing hero versions of, which I never really understood. This is a very complicated power. I've dived into it a little bit for the Avatar Deku. Honestly, I want to redo that series because I have a few ideas of how to change it. But at the same time, there is this ability. This one is the focal point of the series. Now let's begin. We'll start with Izuku Midoriya, a boy born to two people, Hisashi and Inko Midoriya. Hisashi Midoriya was quirkless, and there was actually his wife. She was born with an ability to allow the blood to circulate through her body a whole lot faster. And this had a number of effects that could help her in her life. However, there was her son. The day he was born, it was strange. Doctors wanted to test him for a quirk. He appeared negative, however, Inko, she was fairly certain he might have something like her, or he could be quirkless. And Deku, whenever he was at the age of 4, he showed off exactly what his quirk was. One day he was sitting there in class, and people, they began to show off their abilities. Izuku had yet to show off his own power. However, people were already showing off theirs. Bakugo showed off his explosions. He's had them for a while now, and it was believed that Izuku, he might never manifest his ability. He did not want to believe that. He wants a quirk. He's always thought about something cool like All Might's. He's thought about something like Endeavor's. That's a really good one. I mean, there's also Best Jeanist, who, not really his cup of tea, but, when he has to drink something, how does he drink it? Especially with that strange thing on his head. This going through Izuku's mind. There's a lot Deku wants as a power, and there currently is leader at recess. Kids are talking, and they are trying to show off more of their abilities, playing around as Deku, he is somewhat left out. And there is even Bakugo, who does begin to develop that personality he's oh so famous for. The little bastard. Now, currently Deku, he does try to play, and Bakugo, he's not having it. This is his school. Everyone around him, they're his friends. And Deku, he's not his friend. He doesn't have a power, which means that he's the weird one. And people, they begin to somewhat laugh. And Deku just tries to stand up for himself. Currently, Bakugo going to actually turn and step forwards. Him shoving Deku, as shown Deku, he would have turned. Him throwing his hands to try and catch himself, as his arm smashes onto the ground and scrapes against a sharp rock. And Bakugo, he has this one laugh. Other kids beginning to do so. And Deku, he currently does get back up. Him a bit annoyed. And one of the kids, they do actually look down to see the blood pouring from Deku's arm. And Deku, he does stand there. Him a bit mad. Before the blood, it does go from flowing down his arm a bit to going to float upwards into the air. And Deku, he does watch somebody back away and bring their hand up. Bakugo stopping his laughter as there is Deku, who does a turn seeing the strange fluid that's warm flowing up his arm. It taking him a second to register its blood. It taking him a second to register it's his own. And currently Deku, he has this freak out. Currently, him holding his head up as right now, people begin to scream. And Deku, he has to fall over feeling dizzy. Now, currently Deku, he does go to hit the ground. And people are trying to talk about what was happening. When the teachers come over, there is a lot of blood on the ground. And Deku, whenever he is rolled into the office and they try and find out what is going on with him, They take him to the hospital immediately. And Izuku, yeah, he was okay, he was fine. Though the amount of bandages that were on his arm were unnecessary. He's manifested a very particular ability. In fact, it's rather, let's just say, unorthodox and leave it at that. Though there is actually his mother, who's trying to ask the doctor what exactly he means by unorthodox, to which the man just to explain. Her son manifested an ability that allows him to manipulate the blood inside of his body. In fact, it's strange. They've seen blood quirks that can do a lot, but one that allows direct manipulation, it's certainly something else. Really? Are you sure? I'm quite sure, ma'am. We run the test. The boy is lacking some fluids and he might suffer from some dizzy spells. It might take a few days for him to recover. Though, there are certain things we can do for this. Like, for starters, I would limit uses of his quirk. He could potentially be a hero. There is the hero known as Vlad King. He's done a lot to use his power. He will face some adversity. Blood quirks aren't exactly seen as heroic, ma'am. I do understand. Deku is not sitting there. These two have the conversation in front of him. And Deku, he is hearing about this. People think he's a villain. People will think he is a villain. It's just a quirk, though. He wants to be a hero. That's on Deku's mind. And we do cut up to a bit of time later. Almost a decade, if not around more. It's around the beginning of the anime. And this time, Deku, he's changed a little bit. He's tried to use his ability, tried to show off his power. But people, they think he's gross. They think he's a bit too interested in blood. They think that maybe he should just stop using his power. Honestly, they'd rather him be quirkless. And we do currently have in class, where Deku, he does somewhat sit there, thinking about a few things, wondering about a lot. Currently, him rolling his hand and going to move it down. As Deku, he's wondering about what to do. He's looked into it before. Vlad King has a suit that can... it's a whole thing, but it allows him to use his quirk better. He can look into something like that. Though, I mean, it's supposed to be skin tight, right? Maybe not. Okay. He has a few ideas as to how to use his ability. Though it's going to leave him feeling a bit strange afterwards. Maybe he can convince his mom to buy him a mini fridge. I mean, just buy him a fridge. It would definitely help. The human body can go down a liter of blood. If he has his math correct, maybe about half of that will be fine. Every few weeks, he just drains a half liter of blood, maybe close to a liter, and he stores it. He can use it and do more with it. Do a lot more. Be a proper hero. Though, he's never got to fully test his powers. That on Deku's mind. And currently he just sit there, bringing his hands up and doing a few things. Currently Deku sitting there in his chair and having the blood begin to pour through the palms of his hands. Currently it floating there in the air as Deku hears it to form it into a small ball. And Bakugo hears his aunt turn his head. Deku sitting on his desk, or sitting in his desk, with his head down, staring at his hands. Him shaping it into a spiked ball, before shaping it into a square. him shaping it, then back into a sphere, and gonna have it turn into a line. Deku staring at this. It's interesting. It's strange. It's silly. It's intriguing. Red is his favorite color, and it does mean quite a bit. Bakugo leaning his head backwards and looking at Deku's hands, seeing this strange floating red. Gross. Everyone starts turning to Bakugo, and Bakugo tells the teacher about what's happening. Since the freak with the blood quirk, he's using it, and he's doing something creepy. And Deku, he has to bring his hand up. Currently, people watching him with a floating ball in his hand. Everyone staring at it, kind of confused. Before Deku, he has to float back down and directly go back into his veins. It phasing through, if not moving into, Deku's body. And Deku, he has to show his palm before showing off the little red specks that were the openings. Before telling people, he's gonna be fine. Turn to his bag. And the teacher does try to tell Izuku it's very unsanitary for him to use his quirk in class like that. He needs to go wash his hands, or just not use it. And Deku looks around the room. People are doing it again. And Deku does a stand up. Him grabbing his bag and making his way out of the room. And the man, he does try to inform everybody. Him going to tell them all about what's happening. They're going to conduct a test, and the whole situation goes down normally. Except Deku is not in the room to see it. And we do currently have after school. Deku has a few things going through his mind. He's got a lot he wants to do. Training for you is going to be difficult, especially with his power. Though maybe if he tries to learn that thing his mom can do. Circulate blood flow through his body more. I mean, it does sound good. He's tried to do it before. Let's see. Maybe he can try and use it on his muscles. Make himself larger. Maybe it could work, but... You know, sometimes there should be a guide to this stuff. But he doesn't have a teacher. That's definitely another problem. Currently, Deku going to walk out of the front gate to his school. And some kids, they are intrigued to see him. Deku staring at them as they try and talk about it. Asking him if he does want to hang out a bit. And Deku does look up. Seeing the group of kids. There's a cute girl with them. And one of the guys talk about it. They were curious about his power. They've heard about it. Is it true he has that blood ability? Yeah. Mind showing it off? I'm alright. Deku bring his hand up. Currently, the speck of his finger going to have some blood begin to pour out of it. Before it is a float upwards, and Deku does show it off. Currently, specks of it flying into the air and forming into a small ball. And the guy talks about it, calling Deku a bit of a fucking creep. What are you talking about? Please. The girl's stepping forwards, talking about it. He looks at people that dumbass way. He's got that weird grin on his face. Is he a fucking psycho? Does he like his quirk? I mean, yeah. So you're a fucking weirdo. I'm not a weirdo. It's my ability. I can control my blood. And you don't think that's weird? No. I think it's nice. The guy's stepping forwards and shoving Deku. Deku falling backwards and flying to the floor. Him sliding a bit farther than he should. And the guy does talk about it. He's got a bit of a strength quirk. Though that he'd consider to be far better than his stupid quirk. So, what's he gonna do? Get back up? Try and use his ability? His ability is shitty. maybe he could be a doctor, you know, get in that same line of work. Though, a fucking vampire like him, he might just bleed the world dry, won't he? And Deku looks with the kid. Somebody's staring forwards. And currently there is where some of the teachers, they do go to walk out. Deku turning and seeing one, with them turning their head and looking at the situation. And Deku stares directly at them looking at him before looking away, turning and walking down the road, since they do need to get to their vehicle. And Deku, he does stare at that a bit more alarmed. Him turning back at somebody, they're gonna pull Deku to their feet, or to his feet, telling him maybe he should come with them. They want to show him a few things. Maybe let him know about it. And Deku, he currently is dragged away from school. Him being beaten by the kids, and then going to be left there in an alleyway. They stole some of his stuff, and they tried to show off he was not welcome in their school. He's not going to go to UA, he's not going to be a hero, and he is not using that goddamn weird ability. And that's that. And Deku, when he got home later, his mom tried to ask him what happened, if he was okay. And Izuku, he just didn't want to talk about it. He went to his room and locked the door, trying to just recover. Though Inko, she was concerned. Deku, there's a number of things he has wrong. Could never really make friends. And the ones he had all ran off. The moment they found out he was a blood quirk user. They think he's mental. And she does worry about her son sometimes. Though, maybe she can just talk to him later. And Deku, he does try to spend the summer learning more about his ability, since he never ran into the number one hero. Though he does try to head out and train a bit, he does run into some people. He even tries to avoid certain areas. These kids, they found him before we went to the mall, trying to design some things for his hero costume. And Deku, he tried to ignore them. However, they followed him, and they tried to push more and more. And this was not good. Deku tried to stand up for himself. Though one kid used their fire ability and showed that Deku really shouldn't try. Play with fire and all that. He knows the rest. But Deku, he wanted to stand his ground. They're not being heroes. They're not being good. And throughout the entire summer, these people try and show it off to Deku. They want to put him down and show off he can't be a hero. And Izuku, one day, he does have an idea. He was annoyed. After a beating they gave him, it hurt. It was hard to breathe. And when he got up, he turned. He wanted to try and use his ability. Show it off more. People have been against him his whole life. They've hated his quirk. And Deku, he doesn't watch a rat currently make its way over to a dumpster. And Deku, he does stare at it. Currently him having an idea. Bringing his hand up and wiping the blood from his mouth. Him having it float upwards before floating back down into his hand. And Deku, he does try to think. It clicking in his mind. Bringing his hand up and staring at the rat. Before he tries to focus. On the rat, it does go from crawling and grabbing some scraps of food to floating upwards into the air. It making sense as Deku does get to pull it up. It moving through the air and trying to scream out. Before letting out a final squeak as Deku does get to watch it dangle there lifelessly for a second. And this, it does surprise Izuku. His eyes widening and staring on at the thing he just did. And Izuku, he smiles. A little bit more proud of his ability. It's crossed his mind before, but he's always been a little too scared to try it. Though, maybe he can try it again. Try it tomorrow. See what he can do. See what can happen. It'll definitely be something. And we do currently have the next day. Deku heads to the mall. A little bit more pep in his step. It's close to the end of summer. And people, they are trying to get ready for the new school year. Though Izuku, he's ready for today. Last night he was a bit excited. He was intrigued. He was happy. Right now, he does stop though, buying himself something to drink. Deku sipping it and going to suck in a bit of a breath, feeling the pain in his body. Though when the kids do to see Deku sitting there and enjoying some fries, they do to walk up. Them trying to ask exactly if he's going to buy them lunch too, or if he's just going to be a bit of a waste of space. And Izuku, he has a turn, staring at the person as they see that strange look in his face. That's glee. The same strange look he gives everybody. Like he's hungry. And it's always so fucking creepy to stare at. And Izuku, he's to fully turn and face them, standing up and telling them, let's just get this over with. Really? You think you can take us? The man leaning in, do you think you can really take all of us? I'm stronger than you. He can burn you. She can stab you. And him. He's quirkless. But at least he's not a goddamn freak. Like you. And Deku, he feels a little bit reassured about what he's gonna do. Especially to this guy. Especially to them. Heroes. They're born. They're made. Though the same thing does apply to villains. They're forged. They're hurt. They're unloved. And some, they aren't that. Some people are bad because they want to be bad. Izuku, he doesn't feel that way though. People have given him shit for his abilities all his life. Maybe give them a bad guy. Show them exactly what happens when you don't show that self-control you have. When you decide you finally had enough. And Deku, he is led to an alleyway. Currently, him taking off running and going to move down the alleyway, sucking in breaths and feeling the pain shoot through his ribs. People begin to follow him. And Izuku, he has a turn. Currently, him bringing his head up and running to an alleyway. Him going to turn and look around, turning to see the people still following him. Deku bringing his head up and trying to think about what to do. Him going to focus and bring his blood up into his fingertip. Him holding it out and aiming it like a bit of a pistol. Him firing at one of the loose boards of a warehouse. And currently going to run over and grab onto one of the boards. Him pulling it off as the other people do go to catch up to Izuku. And currently they do grab him and throw him to the ground before the person does talk about it. Maybe he wanted to hide. Maybe. Though this is a pretty good place. No one followed us, right? I don't think so. They didn't see us with him. Good. Maybe we can teach this villain a little bit of a lesson. His final one. You're not talking about... You're serious? I am. And currently Deku, he does let them drag him into the building. Not how he wanted it to happen. Though nonetheless, still pretty good. And right now Deku, he does just don't sit there. Them trying to inform him about what to do. They want him to admit it. They want him to admit he is the goddamn villain. He'll never be a hero, and he will always, always be that same crazy bastard from their school. And Deku, he does his own setup. Him looking at them all and giving them a wide, big, toothy smile. and all of them stare at him confused. And Deku talks about it. They want a villain? Deku brings his hands up. And currently the three kids do just not float there up into the air. Them feeling strange as their muscles, they hurt. Along with the blood flowing through some of their bodies, beginning to at least feel strange. And there actually is the kid with the strength quirk. Him turning and trying to rush at Deku. And Deku, he does gonna bring his hand out. Him stopping him as he force his hand outwards, and the kid flies backwards to the ground. Him feeling like he was hit by something head on. Him laying on the ground and feeling the pain in his chest. And Deku looks up. Currently him watching as one of the kids, they're spasming. Before, the dudes don't go limp in the air. And Deku, he's gonna drop him. Before holding his hand up and then goes to turn it a bit more. Watching the two shake in the air like they're lifeless little dolls. Like they're just a part of his playset. All he needs is a proper dollhouse. And Deku, here's a turn, leaving the kid sitting on the ground. Him sitting back up and turning to see his dead friend. Him gonna crawl over and throw his hand down, finding his friend is dead. And he has a turn back to Izuku. Currently watching his two friends dangling there in the air as Deku, he has to throw up his right hand. Before he has a pull and put it into a fist. Him pulling it towards him. And both of these two, they do have the blood forced from their body. Deku seeing the massive quantities splurge forth. Currently, him going to watch on. The two falling to the ground dead as their bodies, they are lifeless and drained. And the guy does stand there watching Izuku. And Deku, he has actually formed it into a triangle, a massive pyramid. And the guy just don't stand there. Him gonna turn and try to bolt, screaming for help as Deku does bring his hand up, and the guy, he does just don't stop. Him feeling his jaw lock up as Deku, he does gonna turn his hand. The guy having his muscles turn and feeling things not feel right. He feels the way his bones are twisting. He feels the way his muscles contract. He feels the way his body is moving. He doesn't like it, and it hurts. And Deku, he does at least turn the guy around. Him having his shoes squeak on the floor as Deku is going to tell him. Him letting the blood ball fall to the ground, and it does a pop on the ground and shoot outwards. Deku staring at him. Before goes to laugh and show off that sadistic grin. Before Deku tells him maybe he was right, though he doesn't want to admit that. He does have to think him though. He's gonna be so beautiful. What are you talking about? I want to see how long I can make this last. See how much I can get out of you. Alright? Though it is gonna be a bit of a tight squeeze. Deku bring up both of his hands. Him throwing his left hand to the left and throwing his right hand to the right. And currently the man, he does have his body twist around like a human rag. Him trying to scream out his Deku, he does stop him. The blood beginning to fly out of his mouth. And currently Izuku, he doesn't marvel at what he's doing. Him happy, excited, and heading home later that day. Him in a very good mood. And his mother, she does get to notice this. Though Izuku, he is told by his mother later that day not to head back out, and to be careful when he does it ahead of school. Since, well, there's been reports of some missing kids, and she doesn't want him to run into anybody dangerous. And Deku just doesn't sit there at his desk, him writing in his notebook and turning to his mother. Him giving her a happy nod, along with a strange smile on his face, and the happy glow in his eyes. And Inko just don't smile. Though she's not sure why Izuku's so happy. And we do cut back to him in his room, sitting there as he's to write a few things down. A water bottle full of blood in the bag on the ground next to him. So he just want to test out a few more things about exactly what the human body can do and the limits it might be able to be pushed to. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys, well, not in the next mini shot, but I got way too into the story. Have a good night, guys.